Welcome everyone to the Bola Bola show, the latest podcast from myself, Sivan John. You guys know me from Twitter or from various social media out there. The idea of this show is basically of me getting together with two of my best friends to talk about football because we go back very long time, almost more than 20 years. And there's not been a single day that when three of us get together that football was never part of our conversation. It has always been the focal point of our discussion whenever we get together, whether it's for teh tarik, whether it's for a glass of beer, whether it's even on an occasion of a friend's wedding. Football is always going to be there. So we said, hey, why not let's get together and do a podcast. So that's the Bola Bola show is all about. So without further ado, I'm going to take this moment to introduce two of my best friends. Starting here with Alwin Lutz.
Yes.
Okay, Alwin.
Hi.
Say something about yourself.
Okay, so myself. Okay, hi guys. I'm Alvin. Basically, for me, why I love football. Okay, what made me get so into football? Okay, it was back in 1990. Okay, back in 1990, where I first got I've heard about this Maradona guy during the 86 World Cup and all that, but I've never personally experienced him during the time because I was only 6 years old at that time. But 1990 was a moment where I really started to gain interest in football, and I remember watching Argentina and Russia, their second game after losing to Cameroon 1-0. Okay, and of course Maradona did not score in that game, but during the 1990 World Cup was an eye-opener for me. And Argentina, having lost the first game to Cameroon, ended up beating Russia 2-0, and they needed to go into the third game against Romania. So the Romania game was also a very interesting game because on that game it was our Maradona versus the Maradona of the Carpathians. Okay, but if you look back at that game, Josh Haji, you guys can go back and even the listeners out here, have a look at what how he was playing that game. You will be very impressed during that time also that it was something amazing from him. So Maradona indeed also led the team, but the most interesting part was, I remember this very moment. It was in a Caltex petrol station in Taman Sri Atalas. That time, they were actually selling the collector coins for the 1990 World Cup. I don't know if you guys remember that time where, of course, my father was the one who was driving the car and pumping petrol. So if I can't remember, it's like for every 10 ringgit that you spend, you get a chance to get like one coin. So people were collecting the coins as a collectible and all that. And I remember during that day, it was the second round, it was Argentina against Brazil. And I remember every joker in the petrol station, because Brazil was coming on form during the time, having won all their 3 games. And Argentina sneaking in through the back door is one of the best third place teams in that World Cup. And I shall not say more as what a fantastic pass by Diego Armando Maradona to Caniggia, and that moment it sent goosebumps through me, and it went on, and from that day on I knew that okay, Argentina, regardless what happens to this fellas, I'll be loyal to this fellas and I'll go all out and support this fellas. So that's for me why I was captivated by football, captivated by Maradona and Argentina and everything else related to football. Okay, and I just like to share one more part in terms of myself supporting club level. Okay, I'm a big Manchester United fan, and it was also during the 90s, and I remember the 1991 Cup Winners' Cup final. Okay, so the Cup Winners' Cup final was MU against Barcelona, and Barcelona having all those stars like Stoichkov and Ronald Koeman and all that, and for Manchester United had to go into that game, and having won that game, they defeated Barcelona 2-1 in that game, 2 goals scored by Mark Hughes, and it was also a defining moment for me to start following MU during that time. Of course, that this Cup Winners' Cup doesn't exist anymore. If you guys, in fact, I got a question for you guys. Do you remember who won the last Cup Winners' Cup?
Chelsea, I think. Chelsea or Lazio?
No, it was AC Parma.
No. Bala got it right. It's Lazio. Pavel Nedved.
Alright. Okay.
Pavel Nedved led Lazio to beat Mallorca in the final. And who was the goalkeeper for Mallorca? I think you guys can guess. Oh yeah.
We are not Greece, if I'm not mistaken.
If I'm not mistaken, the final was held in Villa Park.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
correct. So that's right. So So basically, that was my personal experience with football. Okay, Argentina and Manchester United.
Okay,
So
not a bad introduction. So moving on to the other friend of mine who is also with us today. His name is Bala Murali, but we call him Bala.
Hi guys.
So Bala, let's talk about yourself now. Okay,
Okay,
where did football, the love of football for you started?
For me, it started when in 1990. I remember watching my first game. I was actually could say I'm a late comer for the game. My first game was when Selangor versus Perak. It was the FA Cup final.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I think that was 10 years old, if not mistaken.
Oh, I remember this game.
Okay,
Come on, yeah.
I can't remember who the goal scorer at the time, to be frank, but I remember at the time I was very naive in football. But my interest was when Selangor was leading 2-0 at half time.
Yes.
Then I was supporting. I think I was watching my grandmother's house about 8 or 9 hours, and it was an Indian family. You see, and that Selangor game was the Selangor game, and was watching the game, and then everybody excited at half time. Selangor leading. As from mistaken, that time there's no such thing as public holiday. Whenever this kind of thing means, it was just pure love for the club or country at the time.
Yeah.
So after that, I think after 2-0, second half was total collapse by Selangor team. They ended up with get beaten by 4 goals. I remember the whole night I was crying, even sitting on a chair, and everybody asking why the hell I was crying. But I just don't know, having this kind of profound love for Selangor. More, I think that moment I thought I loved Selangor a lot, but it was disappointment for me that Selangor team actually lost. I would say Selangor was my first love of the football game. And I think after that I started following the Selangor game. We used to listen to the radio station, but having in the Indian family, they're not much of exposed. So we used to read newspaper a lot. And then came in 1994 World Cup. That was my defining moment when I started watching my father. And my father was a pro Argentina fan, Brazil fan actually.
Yes.
But he used to watch Argentina games because of Diego Maradona. Rather than having attention to Maradona, I was looking at one guy from number 9, and it was a Gabriel Batista.
Yes.
So I started to following him a lot, and the way he struck the goal from all his screamer kind of goals, especially in USA 1994 against. He started out with the debut tournament, if I'm not mistaken. He was against Greece. Then they met
Nigeria.
Yes. And Kanija scored a very beautiful goal.
Yes,
Maradona
curled it in from the corner.
And then I think exposed wise not much, because I think from the game was starting doing morning games.
Yeah, USA 94. It's basically when they are awake, you'll be asleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So it was a lot of excitement in this for me going on. Then after that, I think they lost to Maradona for the drug scandal.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we lost to them. I think during the game going on, it was called for drug checking, something like that.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of Maradona team or even Argentina team. And then I remember Batista was crying after the game when they lost to Romania.
Yeah.
He was disappointed. Then after following him a lot, of course I was in Selangor as a state club. Then I was watching Argentina and the Baluza Carriers specifically. Then I was watching, he was playing for Fiorentina. What interested me about Fiorentina at the time was, even though they had a team, I remember I was started looking at paperwork the Juventus team, because the way they win is 1-0, 2-1. This was brutal, and when Lippi came in, it was started catching me on Juventus style of play. I was more introduced to style, and having my style of my character, the gritty, no nonsense, typically clean. To be frank, I'm not a beautiful game kind of a guy. I'm more like a solid kind of guy. And I started to look at this team, and this team used to bring in the Montero, Ferrara, with no nonsense kind of guy. Score 1 goal, and that's the end of the game. Nobody in the world could come by. Of course, along the way they lost a few good things, but this is it.
So very typical Serie A scoreline.
Then after that, also having in love with I think I'm not mistaken, Blackburn was just promoted. And then Jack Walker, the Blackburn owner, started to he was a mining guy. So he started pumping, because we are living in Malaysia, a lot of exposure.
Yeah, we get a lot of exposure in English football, basically. Yeah.
So having two following, and I was in Syria and also watching Blackburn concurrently. And then Blackburn, I think with Kenny Legbish involvement, they brought the team to, I think after the mega, whereby MU and Liverpool was the prime winning team. I think Blackburn was the one who broke that era before Manchester City broke the era. So along the way I was supporting Blackburn, but my interest was Blackburn and was doing it concurrently. In fact, if you ask me, I have 2 sons, I think we will say that. So my first started from Selangor, and then ended up I married both wives, I think.
Okay, all right.
But along the way, along the way I dropped out is the Selangor team. This Blackburn team. Then my love for Juventus became more. And yeah, but on and off like a broken girlfriend, you look at them, you're checking what they're going through on and off. But kindly would say that I'm full-fledged Juventus fan since even though the relegated I was there. So and up to now, so that was
so good,
man. So good, man.
Yeah.
How about you, Sivan? Where was your?
What about you, man?
Okay, basically, I think I wouldn't want to go too deep because I think a lot of you guys out there would know of me by now. I've always been blue and white from day one, blue and white today. Of course, as you guys know, I started supporting Argentina from '86 World Cup with Maradona. In terms of club football, I've always had a soft spot for Liverpool in the 90s, probably because my hatred for Man United was a little bit more at that time. We'll get back to that later. Hold on a second. But I used to have a lot of soft spot even for Lazio. Barcelona, Madrid. I had a soft spot for all these big clubs for what they represent, how they play football. But the moment which I became a fan of club football truly was on the day when I went to Huddersfield Town in 2011 against Wycombe Wanderers. That changed my life forever, and I think everybody out there know that I'm a Huddersfield Town fan.
Yes.
So that's pretty much of my footballing journey so far. But as you know, this is the Bola Bola show, so we're not going to just stick to anything about Argentina or whatever. We're going to talk about anything that goes with Bola. So we'll be right back after this, because after this it's going to be more on touching on some of I would say like the most defining moment in our friendship journey when it comes to football.
Is this their moment? Beckham into Sheringham, and Solskjaer has done it! Manchester United have reached the promised land. The two substitutes have scored the...
Alright, that's the sound that I will say which every Man United fan who was alive in 1999 will never ever forget for the rest of their life, because that's the sound that pretty much caused my friend Bala here, who had to mop his entire house. Because the other guy in this recording, my friend Alwin, lost his mind completely for the fact that for nearly 90 over minutes that all we did to him was, we weren't really treating him very bad. But the matter of fact is, at that time, it was obvious that me and Bala, we were definitely rooting for Bayern for the main reason that we just didn't want Man United to win, because for the fact is, as I mentioned earlier, I just couldn't stand them back then. But, this is one of the beautiful things about football, the unexpected things, the most remarkable things, miracle things that happen during the game. And I suppose, it's what the newspaper headline said, God must be a Man United fan. So, Bala, I know it's your house. I know.
Like what Ferguson says, bloody football. But I would say bloody Alvin. The reason is because I remember when one of the goal was scored, Hefler took the water and poured his head. Then by the time I look at it, I say, what the hell went on? I couldn't see the goal. I went behind to take a mop to wipe it off.
You're referring to Sheringham's goal, right?
Yes, I'm referring to the Sheringham goal. And by the time I came back, another goal scored, another time football hit the water. And I was speechless, and everybody was totally stunned. And I'm looking at Samuel Kufo there hitting the field.
Hitting the
Hitting the ground.
And I just was that day. Actually, Bayern Munich lost because I was rooting for Bayern Munich. Main reason because suppose with Juventus there before the Roy Keane massive comeback, and that which basically interrupted my evening with him. So I'm rooting for Bayern Munich to beat Man United. But having said that, kudos to Manchester United for giving Alvin to have his glorious moment. And my first time seeing a Champions League winning team.
Yeah. I know it's not easy being a Man United fan these days.
Yeah.
20 years makes a lot of difference.
Exactly. So
take us back at that time.
Yeah.
What reflection you have it for today, seeing where the club is right now?
Okay, so just to go back to that moment of me completely losing it that time and pouring water on my head. Okay. Okay, because for the entire game, you could safely say that Man United was on the back foot, and in fact could have been even down more than a goal, where Peter Schmeichel, thanks to his fingertips, pushed the Mario Basler shot and he hit the bar. Because, of course, that would have been a different story altogether. But then when Sheringham did equalize, of course, at that, and particularly at that time in the game as well, any Man United fan would have lost it for that moment. And for me, the closest thing I had to me, because my friends and my buddies, I was basically left standing alone in that game. Okay, and these two guys here, and also Joe with us, another one of our friends, and they were all rooting for Bayern, right? So basically, I lost it, and I poured the water in my head, and in a state of shock, and within moments, Solskjaer even scored the winning goal. So that really was a moment for me to cherish. Okay, for a very very long time, experiencing a Champions League victory, at a higher stage in Europe. So, Man United fans, you guys, cherish all the moments you guys had in the late 90s and the early 2000s and all this, because it's something really very far and few in between coming these days now, okay, and especially in this day and time where being a Man United fan, it really hurts seeing what's happening with Liverpool and how they are doing and all this, all because if you ask a Man United fan and me personally would rather have Manchester City winning the league title than having seen Liverpool win the league title, okay, so something like that. But talking about why is the current Man United team not like what it was in 1999, early 2000s, or even towards the late 90s and all that, is I feel they don't. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the guy that scored the winning goal, who is now leading the team, was given the job probably because of sentimental value and not because of merit. Of course, he did come in, but I mean, you guys can counter that if you have anything to say. But what I'm saying is, yeah, he had a few winning games and in fact a good start to his Man United career without a doubt, and the PSG game and all that was something great. But does he really merit a guy like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Can he actually handle a club like this? Can he command the dressing room with all these big-headed players, the Pogbas of the world, I would put it. Okay? When you have fellas like Pogba in the dressing room and all that, they can be a very disruptive force in the dressing room. And when you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's a very calm, collected dude. I don't know. I'm not in the Man United dressing room, so I don't know. I don't associate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a boot flying incident, right? Compared to Sir Alex Ferguson. So I mean, you don't see something like, you don't have an Alex Ferguson character, or maybe something along those lines in this Man United dressing room these days. So I feel they don't have the harmony, the dressing room unity. What do you think, Bala?
For me, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when they make it be permanent manager, don't blame the management, because I think they did quite well.
Yes.
From mistaken, he never had defeats. I think they were lost. I think the only defeat was against PSG 2-0, and they came back in PSG itself. I think Paris with Mbappe was playing. I think the only one else was Neymar with this normal injury thing. But having said that, but I think to say that Solskjaer wasn't the right candidate for that moment in time would be wrong. But I don't know why.
No, but was it right?
That moment in time,
give him the permanent job. Of course, he came in as an interim.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that moment, I believe he deserved the merit. But for now, I don't think he deserves it, because I think he's not performing. We must say before and after, is it? Because the more the pressure going on, and I think that moment, if I'm not mistaken, from the management side of view, they need to make regional transfers. So they need a permanent coach. They cannot be still waiting on that side. But for now, after 2 years where they're still struggling, I don't find him the right candidate now. But for that moment, I think he deserves it, but wouldn't be the right choice currently, because that moment is all about results. Football is all about results. It's not about flair. You can have all kind of flair, but if you're not performing, it doesn't matter as well, see.
But you did bring an interesting point about signings, right? So Man United did make some signings, right? And spend a lot of money. Okay? And I yet to to get the fruits out of these signings, I'll put it this way, okay? And I will say that one that flew over the cuckoo's nest is Erling Haaland.
Yes.
And what happened to the Erling Haaland transfer? And okay, if I were to say just Man United can be guilty of missing out on me, what about all those other big clubs? I mean, I'm sure everybody would want a striker like him.
Yeah.
And guess what, guys? He just scored yesterday again. So I think his 8th or his 9th goal in 5 games. If you look back at Erling Haaland's history, and I did some research about this guy. If you look back at all his clubs, he has scored more goals than the games he has played, and this goes back to Salzburg, Molde, and a very interesting point about this guy is scoring hat tricks is just a very normal thing to him, and in every single club he has scored hat tricks. Okay. And his Dortmund debut he has scored a hat trick.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yes.
and you know what's the most interesting thing about him? The last Youth World Cup, Norway got knocked out in the league, the group stage.
Okay.
They didn't make it out of the group because they won 1 game and they lost 2 games.
Okay.
But he finished top scorer in the World Cup with 9 goals in
In
3
the
games.
2 games.
Wow.
In the 3 games, he finished with 9 goals. And in fact, he didn't score in 2 of the games. He scored 9 goals in 1 game. And that was in their 12-0 defeat of Honduras. Okay, but what I'm trying to say, I mean, no disrespect to Honduras for listening to all this, but what I'm trying to say is, I suppose whether it's Honduras or
Iran or
a different opposition and all this, scoring goals is there is still 11 men on the field. There's still a goalkeeper. There's still a defender after you. The guy has got instincts. So like a guy like Ed Woodward, what is he doing? Like, I mean, you're spending so much more money for Bruno Fernandes and all this, but this guy was only 25 million pounds if you were to convert from whatever. In this age and time, it's peanuts, right? So Sivan, like, any inputs you want to say about the current situation of Man United or signings and all this?
Well, for the record, I think definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should not be given the job on a permanent basis. I think when he came in, it was what Manchester United needed at the time. But on the long term, I think he just wasn't really the right candidate for the job. I think a lot of Man United fans were hopeful that the club will go after Mauricio Pochettino. But that didn't materialize at that time. But he's available now, so we do not know what's going to happen in this summer.
Exactly.
Something might be brewing.
I think even Juventus are going after him, I think. Pochettino.
Yeah,
What's
but-
happening in Sari.
Probably.
So he's hot property.
I mean, he's a hot property manager, despite the fact he has not won anything yet, bear in mind.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of philosophy, the kind of football he likes, I think a club like United will definitely appreciate it. On the other hand, I think, as you mentioned, Ed Woodward, well, to me personally, I think that's the biggest problem in United right now. I mean, as you mentioned, they didn't, as someone who is responsible for recruitment and signing, whether he was aggressive enough to go after Haaland, whether he was persuading good enough for him to come to Old Trafford, we do not know about that. But in terms of opting to go for a club like Borussia Dortmund, a young player like him, I would say, in terms of that, I think he made the right choice, because a club like Dortmund for a young player like him will give him a perfect platform for him to further develop his game.
So where is he going to end up after that? Bayern Munich?
That's how it is.
That's the way it is.
That's how it is often been said in German football, but you never know. And having said that, sticking with Borussia Dortmund, I don't know. I heard rumors that Jadon Sancho is now wanted by Man United. So let's see how this materializes. But I think this summer is going to be an interesting time for Manchester United, because Solskjaer definitely doesn't look like the guy to bring the club forward. So I believe that changes are happening.
Okay, but I just wanted to add something, because what you guys also think, Man United do have the players. If you look at other clubs, right, which they are currently losing to clubs like Burnley and all these guys, even on paper, Man United have got better players than them. If you just look on paper. So what's going on? There's something. The dressing room is not right? There is no command of the dressing room.
Talking about this, I think recently yesterday there are people like Allegri,
Allegri.
Juventus coach, he might be interested in coming to MU. So I think there's a big thing happening in Italian media, if I'm not mistaken. That's what happened when last I saw ESPN FC. So there's a lot of talking. I think Allegri will make an ideal choice. But then let's look at the previous coaches or managers. I think before him was Jose Mourinho. Ultimately, we know who's Mourinho, who the guy who gave the job done. Before him was the Dutch guy, Luis van Gaal. He also was, not to say a high-profile coach, World Cup team, Holland team winning coach. Not World Cup winning coach. One of the best coaches in the world at the moment in time. So I think the entire problem in the MU, basically, I think they lost identity because of the Sir Alex Ferguson. This is my opinion.
Okay.
Because Sir Alex Ferguson, and even he watched the game also, it's not to say it's not a big signing. I think even the MU team, the 1999 class team was a youth team and was molded by Ferguson team. I think the Ferguson influence, the club has been there. There's no any drastic changes to be done. Having said that, I'm just looking at Juventus right now. The Juventus core team is coming from the brutalist 1-0, 1-0 kind of winning, a 1-1 draw kind of winning thing. So when they brought Sarri, expecting to change an attacking team or kind of a tiki-taka, so-called beautiful game, it's not happening. It won't happen overnight. So having said that, is it the mentality of the squad of the MU is happening right now? Post-era thing is like.
Well, that's a very long Alex Ferguson hangover these guys are having, man.
Yeah.
And then in defense of Ed Woodward, I think he's signing. Okay, Haaland basically was being ambushed by everybody, even Juventus, PSG, but he went for Dortmund because I think for him for development football, I think Haaland signing might be a one-off thing, but other signing, I think that way I think they made a mistake. And Pogba, for me, if you ask me. You need a strong-headed coach, and strong-headed coach one thing, and also need the kind of flexible kind of coach like Allegri. Because Allegri, you see, is not kind of a guy who like to score around and shout. He like to manage team around.
So is that also like something like Solskjaer then?
No.
Do you see Allegri, a guy that can command the dressing room?
Yes, you know why? No? Because Jose Mourinho had difficulty with Pogba.
Yes.
Right. Then let's name it. Solskjaer had a problem with Pogba.
But Allegri could work with Pogba.
Pogba to be frank, Allegri made Pogba. When he was in the Conte era, of course he came in. But one interesting fact is, Pogba played with Conte. In fact, Conte only made him to who he is right now. So, do Man U need this kind of type of coach to blend with work with Pogba, or how? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So is it more of Man United hiring a coach, like what Bala said?
Yes.
So to work with Pogba,
Yes.
to get the best out of Pogba,
Yeah.
or to get a coach that can put all these fellas in their place,
Yes.
right? Because Pogba, you see, he's one day he may have an off day, he may get injured and all this, but
But having said that, the team is built around Pogba now?
Well, I wouldn't say the team is built around Pogba, but to be fair to Pogba, this is a guy that I can think can make a lot of difference. I mean, we saw what he did with the French national team during the World Cup. I mean, there is a leader in that player. There is talent and gift in that player. It just needs someone who knows how to harness all that. I would say it's going to be, as I mentioned, it's going to be an interesting summer with Man United. Something which I think we will definitely, football fans in particular, will have a lot to look forward to see what's going to happen, because definitely changes is happening. Solskjaer, I don't see him going to be I don't see him going to be lasting that long.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's going to happen.
Desperation. Argentina needs the goal to move on. Ripped just wide side netting, and it's all over, but the shouting, the nonverbals say it all. Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Okay, that's the sound of Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, which happened in 2002 in a match against Sweden. Well, another memorable day for all three of us here. Perhaps Bala, you want to share
Oh boy.
Your mom came to the living room and saw the whole thing, and what was the first reaction?
Okay, before that, my mom actually brought forward some kind of kueh,
She made vada or something.
she made vada, food, tea, because my friends are coming. I think, if not mistaken, about 7 hours was there, 5 hours was there. Sorry, with our few England friends as well. So we just came there. So my mother brought some food for us, and then while the disappointment happened, Alvin was crying. I was speechless, and then Sivan went missing. And then that moment, my mother came in. She thought all of us were excited, because my mother, all the teenage boys was coming, having a go around like that.
Yeah.
22 years old, sorry, I was teenager, 22 years old. And then my mother was telling, "Why is Alvin crying? Is anybody from family passed away or what?" And I was just quiet. At that moment, I never realized Sivan went missing. I just said, no comment, it's just a sad moment of life.
Well, Alwin, I think.
Yeah, it just carries on all the disappointments about Argentina not getting knocked out of these big tournaments. I mean that was the group stage.
Yes,
we
correct.
really never expected that to happen, right? And then there was a few losses after that in the knockout stages, failing at penalty. So as as an Argentina fan, we became so used to all these disappointments, right, guys? But if you remember, there was a defining moment. There was a light at the end, a silver lining towards all this, right? And that happened in 2014. Okay, remember that moment,
Yes,
guys?
it was.
We had Argentina had a very big hurdle in front of them always. Okay, when it came to the World Cup, okay, the biggest hurdle that those guys struggled was the quarterfinal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They always go to the quarterfinal and they always fall down and quite a number of times to the mighty Germans.
Yes.
Right? Whether they were mighty and all that time, but somehow Argentina still when it matters, they choke against these guys.
Especially against the European counterparts, I think.
Yeah, basically.
usually.
And so came 2014,
Yes.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
2014 was quite a defining moment because I think it was the first time ever that we decided that rather than watching at home or mama, we decided to go and watch at a bar.
Yeah.
And I think we were somewhat hopeful, but at the same time, because of past experience, we were still holding back a little bit of feeling conservative about what's going to happen.
And there was still a fear for this Belgium team.
Yeah,
because they're not just Belgium and all those.
It's a Belgium, an up-and-coming Belgian team that is
Yeah.
capable of turning things around on its day.
They had hazards.
Yes.
As for hazard,
Yeah.
So, but when the final, I remember the final whistle blew, and then it was all hell broke loose. We were just.
It was just a feeling,
Yeah, it was just a feeling
It was
of-
just something, right? We finally let the monkey out of our back,
That feeling where you just throw your fist in the air and you're like, oh man. I know it's just a quarterfinal, and of course Argentina made it to semi-final and final, and we know what was the outcome of that World Cup. But that feeling against Belgium is something that I don't know whether we'll ever experience it again.
Yeah. Because even that same tournament, that semi-final win, and of course even during the final and all that, the feeling of that win, even from the semi-final going into the final. I mean, you guys were together watching it, right?
Yeah.
I went with you guys.
Yeah.
Even for that, making it to the final, I think the magnitude, the quarter-final win really felt like something.
Yeah.
That's huge. You see that moment.
The crossover moment, I think, was a defining.
Just
I
to
think,
get over that hurdle.
yeah, it was not easy, but I think I think Argentina also wasn't. It was a 50-50 game. I think he went who made the difference. I think with one chance. I think.
Yes.
After I can't
There
remember.
were many
he-
chances there. One chance, 8 minutes, he put it in very early in the game.
Yes, I think that was the changing moment for Belgium. I think.
He got another guy. A guy I'm sure many of you all might not remember his name, but he started on that day. He made a lot of difference of neutralizing Hazard and maybe not Hazard. I think KDB.
KDB.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was playing for a Mexican club at that time.
Can't recall.
Jose Basanta.
Oh, okay. Understand. Yes.
So, well,
Yes.
so that celebration in the post-Belgian game, I think we took a lot out of it. That I think we just never had enough for the Dutch game.
So we carried,
probably we never had enough.
We carried over with the Costa Rica.
Oh yes. I mean,
Yes.
if you still remember the game against Belgium, I think it finished at almost around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning Malaysian time, and there was still one more quarter-final, which was Costa Rica versus Netherlands. Believe it or not, guys, we stayed up until that game finished, until when Luis van Gaal decided to substitute his goalkeeper just for the penalty shootout.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I mean, it's one of those unforgettable moments in my life as a football fan, especially with the fact that I was there with these two guys. All of us were there, you know. I mean, something that we'll never forget, basically.
But maybe think about it. Thank goodness Luis van Gaal didn't do that for the semi-final.
He couldn't do it, I think.
He couldn't? Did he?
He did a substitution, something, I think, arranges.
So we couldn't bring Tim Krul.
Some kind of disruption in the game. But looking back 2002 World Cup, I think I stay at managerial, I think, because of the last game of Batistuta. Of course, we carried, we what would you call that? We lessened our load in 2014. But I think for us, our era, I think the 2002 World Cup thing was, we had everybody, I think, Aima, Romero, and let's call it Diego Simeone, Ayala.
Yeah, I would still say the 2002 team was the most complete World Cup squad we ever had. I mean, across all positions, it was perfectly, nicely well set up. It's just that I think tactically, we just were outsmarted by, I don't know, maybe teams that were, I think we were outsmarted tactically against opponents, especially England and Sweden. Which I think we will definitely keep that for another episode, because there's so much that we need to talk about that, especially that World Cup. But this is basically what we're all about. The whole idea of this podcast is just about us three good friends getting together, you know, talking about football, because what you hear in this podcast is just basically what you hear when the three of us get together in a restaurant, or get together in a bar, or get together in a friend's wedding. You know, when the focus has to be on the bride and groom, we three guys will be at one table here sipping wine and talking about football. You know, football is, you can never take it away from us. You know, even when I go to these guys' friends for Deepavali and Christmas,
the conversation will be there.
The conversation of football is always going to be there. So we said, let's make it into a podcast. So
and don't forget Joe. We meet him every 4 years once.
Yeah, Joe, if you're listening to this. Okay.
Joe.
Right. So yes. So for me, I'll leave it to you guys. You know, what do you guys have to say?
So I think Sivan has wrapped it up very well. Just want to let the listeners know also. You know. Bola in Malaysia means ball.
Correct.
Okay, and that's our location where we are currently from Malaysia, and also bola is ball in Spanish and Portuguese. So that's why, you know, we came up with this Bola Bola show, because the bola is universal and everybody loves football, and we hope to keep you guys entertained moving forward with much more episodes to come. So Bala, any parting shots?
I think like what Alwin and Sivan John have wrapped up, I think it's very clear that we have a passion for this beautiful game. We would like to more talk about it. Maybe you guys can comment, give us insight, give us ideas where you want us to bring this thing, because I think there's a lack of. We believe we want to go to the fans and talk about passion. What are passion topics? Maybe the baby boomers or even the millennials. We are up to anything regarding ball. All right, we're here. We are here for you. We are your voice. We might pull you in, one or two guys to have a talk about it. Give us your opinion and comment. I think we'll strive from here on.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So, thank you guys.
All right. So with that, it's a wrap.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.